a chief inspector give evidence called against me, and when he took the oath, he used a sign and a word. Then the judge, Mr. Recorder Sidge, immediately told the jury that this police officer had just given him a secret sign, and they are to disregard any evidence this officer gives.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's amazing guest, first time on the channel, is a gentleman called Len Lawrence. About a week ago, I put a post out on X saying I'd like to talk to someone about the Freemasons, because over this last couple of years, I began to realise lots of things I thought were conspiracy theories that I thought were made up, I thought they just weren't true, are beginning to be proven to be true. So I wanted to analyze other assumptions I've made about different organizations, different things, to see, is it correct, or am I still living in a bubble where I'm believing what I've been told over decades? And somebody recommended that I speak to Len about the Freemasons. So first of all, Len, thank you for coming on the show.
Goodbye.
For people that don't know, Len is former
British
and former Royal Air Force.
No, Royal Navy.
Sorry, Royal Navy. Thank you for that. And a former Freemason.
I've never actually resigned from Freemasonry. However, I no longer attend.
Right. So, in a nutshell, what are the Freemasons for the general public? What is Freemasonry?
Allegedly, it's a group of men, diverse of religion, political views, and they allegedly meet. They enact ceremonies, and they have a festive ball after each meeting. And that was my perception. But unfortunately, I've now seen a much darker side of it.
Well, it's a darker side I wanted to talk about, because for me, what you said then sort of rings true. That's what I've been told Freemasonry is. It's basically a club where men get together. They're hoping to do, they're hoping to expand their networks, maybe do a bit of business with people and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong in that per se. That, we have networking events all the time across the country. But then there's the conspiracy side that people talk about. The Freemasons are more than just that. There's different levels of membership. If you're an initial member, you don't know what goes on in the other groups, in the other higher levels. It's all about control. It's all about running the country. It's all about, they'll have Mason judges, and you do a secret handshake. He'll let you walk free from court. There's all these things that we're told all the time. And it sounds a bit like conspiracy theories, to be honest. Is any of what I've just said then, is any of that true? Have you seen any of that? What's your experience of the other side of Freemasonry?
The first involvement, when I was not a Freemason, I can remember I was at Acton Crown Court. I'd been accused by the police of using a fraudulent tax disc. I took the case to Crown Court, and it was a retrial because the jury didn't reach a verdict. Then a chief inspector give evidence called against me, and when he took the oath, he used a sign and a word. Then the judge, Mr. Recorder Sidge, immediately told the jury that this police officer had just given him a secret sign, and they are to disregard any evidence this officer gives. So that is both sides of it, where the judiciary stopped it in its tracks and the police officer was dismissed from giving evidence. I actually won in the court, and I went on to sue the police for malicious prosecution. So that is my first involvement. That is the dark side.
So that as you've just blown me out the water with that one. So a serving police officer,
He was a chief. He was then a chief inspector in the Diplomatic and Royal Protection Squad.
and he gave a secret sign to.
Masonic sign and a Masonic word. When he didn't say by Almighty God, he said something different, which was a Masonic sign. And the judge picked it up straight away, discharged him, and told the jury to disregard him.
And then, I mean, that's shocking in itself. What happened after that? Or what's your next involvement?
Well, I actually was invited to join Freemasonry. I think it was around about 1988 in a London Freemasonry lodge that met at Great Queen Street, the home of British Freemasonry. And the Masonic lodge I joined was drawn from people from the Lord Chancellor's Department, the judiciary, the circuit judges and district judges, and detectives from the Metropolitan Police Obscene Publication Squad. That's called the Paedophile Unit of Dirty Squad. And it was those detectives that carried out my initiations into Freemasonry. So that was the lodge I joined. Discipline was very strict. The lodge was very, I don't know, they were a caring group, but anyone who misbehaved would be dismissed. But that's changed.
So why did you join the Masons, and did you get anything out of it? Was it about networking? Was it about socializing? What made you want to join?
Well, my dad was once in an organization called the Buffaloes, which is similar to Freemasonry. It's sometimes described as the poorer side of sort of Freemasonry. I can't comment on that. But I'm not sure why I joined, but a lot of people who I knew were Masons, then I had the opportunity to join, so I took up the chance. And it was actually very good for me because I was, to a degree, slightly shy. And because you go in this, all the rituals you conduct in front of all these people, it could be a judge, it could be, we had up to chief superintendent attending the lodge. It built your ability to interact with other people. So it was very social. It was good. I found it very helpful in sort of bringing myself out of a shell and presenting myself. And
Yeah, I mean, things like sport teams, men's clubs, things that you join. You know, we're social creatures. We get a lot out of being a member of different clubs, different associations and societies, and they're good for our mental health. They're good for making friends. They're good for lots of reasons. When you were a member, did you see anything nefarious? Was there things you weren't happy about, or did it proceed at a decent level?
it was, I'm just trying to think. There was only one person who was asked to leave our Masonic Lodge, which he did, but I'm not allowed to talk about that. It's I think, but he was a barrister, and he later became a district judge. But no, it was all very good. But it all changed on the 30th of March. Sorry, on the 16th of April, 2012. That's when it changed.
And what happened then?
I encountered a man known as the Worshipful Master, Berkshire Freemasonry. He's Honour Judge Simon Oliver at Reading County Court. There's quite a lot of information about him on social media. A lot of it has been taken down in the attempt to hide it. But that was when I saw a completely different side of Freemasonry.
And can you go into that a bit more detail?
I will go that later time into great details. But that was the reason why on the 30th of March 2022, my house was raided and the attempt was made to take me to, well, they did take me to Bridgewater Police Custody Centre, Somerset Police, and they attempted to have me detained under the Mental Health Act. And that's a lot what I would like to talk to your viewers about that at a later date. What really occurs inside a police custody centre. We've seen now recently with Panorama, the physical side, what happened in Charing Cross, but I will talk about the mental side, where you are attacked by forensic mental health nurses within a police custody centre without access to lawyers, without access to doctors, and what really happens. And it terminated with over 122 people from Somerset NHS Trust entering my medical records and putting everything they could, a lot of them, to discredit me, including multiple threats to attack the public with anthrax, being delusional, seriously mentally ill. What even as Somerset police and even as the NHS didn't know, I was being monitored 24 hours a day, 6 months before this all occurred, and the National Crime Agency was overseeing all these attacks.
So that happened to you, and you're right, we'll talk about that another day. How did that impact the Freemasons? Were the Freemasons, after you'd been arrested, did they abandon you? Did they attack you? What has that then got to do with you being a member of the Freemasons?
We've had two different sides. Those have come forward to help me, and some of whom have held senior positions in the police, been Freemasons for a long time. They've come forward to help me. And the hierarchy as a Freemasonry, the Grand Lodge, they've stood back and trying to keep themselves out of it to prevent a damage limitation exercise. We've now traced the people who were present at that police custody centre. We've traced everyone. We've got the tapes. But isn't it interesting? I was such a threat to the public, yet within 4 weeks, all the custody tapes have been deleted.
We see that a lot with the police. I interviewed a woman last year who claimed she was raped by a police officer in a Salford police station, and by coincidence, the 2 hours of all she's got 18 hours of tapes, but the 2 hours where the rape occurred, that's been corrupted. We can't find that. That's disappeared. How convenient that happens. Just those 2 hours.
It's like the body camera footage. I've now recovered that. I didn't invite the police into my house, and I was arrested at the front door. I now have that. I have the custody records. Isn't it interesting? A couple of weeks before I was arrested, detectives were investigating what had occurred to me involving the Worshipful Master, His Honour Judge Simon Oliver, and Avon and Somerset Chief Superintendent. The Chief Superintendent, her name is Claire Arms. She had a finding recorded against her for the obstruction of justice in my case involving Judge Simon Oliver and the Court of Protection. It was sent to the IOPC. They sent it back for a local resolution without informing me of the proven case. Arms was in charge of police custody. I then get raided, and the attempts made to section me. 48 hours after I miss, she is removed from her post, transferred to the College of Policing, and she's now surfaced in Warwickshire Police as an Assistant Chief Constable, Claire Arms. And her name came up recently when a young girl was raped, and they kept the identity of the two asylum seekers involved in this young girl's rape. And Claire Arms' name came up as one of the people who had covered it up. It all comes out.
It all comes out eventually. Let me ask you this. So you were arrested. Do you think part of the Freemasonry turned on you purely to protect their reputation?
Yes.
So you think it was that they didn't want your name being connected with Freemasonry because that will damage their reputation, regardless if you're guilty or innocent. The fact that's happened, they wanted to abandon you just to protect their reputation.
They wanted to protect His Honour Judge Simon Oliver, and as a consequence of that, his name does come up by the mental health nurses in their internal files, which have been disclosed to me. They identify that Oliver has held me trapped under the mental health system, which he has since 2012.
This is shocking, absolutely shocking that not only are these things going on, but still going on. I thought we'd moved away from this. I thought we moved away.
Again, I will talk to you about what was once described as the most secretive court in the land by Christopher Booker, the former journalist from the Telegraph and Private Eye. He described the Court of Protection as the most secretive court. And what I had uncovered is that the Court of Protection certificates often used to detain people under the Mental Health Act. They have no serial number. They have no embossment in the paper. They're little all in a piece of A4 photocopying paper with just somewhere solicitors type the Court of Protection on them. They are not authentic certificates, and that is what's been used to hold me under the Mental Health Act since November 2004. Now, I was fortunate to be taken to meet the Attorney General, what's his name, Sir Geoffrey Cox, and within probably a week, Sir Geoffrey Cox had written to the Crown Prosecution Service. They took advice from the Home Office, and the means to set aside all judgments in my case was made available to me. But before I returned this to court, I, assisted by others, would establish how tens of thousands of people were being detained under the Mental Health Act. The safeguarding policies were not being followed, and in cases like mine, willfully disobeyed. And I had established all of that, and literally just before my arrest, and that's what made me so much of a threat.
These are the stories you hear from, Soviet Russia, and using excuses to arrest people, to lock them up, to deny them their rights, and to ensure that whatever the nefarious reasons for it in the first place continues. The more I look into some of these things, the more I'm disappointed with the UK about how authoritarian we've been coming, or maybe we've always been like this and we're just finding out about it.
We've always been like this, but it's what I refer to it as the weaponization of psychiatry. Now, you've got to say your grandparents, and people think they're going to get inheritance from their mum and dad or their grandparents because they live in a house which they bought maybe in the 60s for £5,000, which is now worth in London anywhere between £500,000 and £750,000, and they're going to get granny's inheritance or granddad's inheritance. What happens increasingly, solicitors or others will get granny certified under the Mental Health Act, placed under the Court of Protection. Court of Protection sees all their assets, and all the property and everything else is sold. It goes into Court of Protection funds, and the Court of Protection trustees will put granny or granddad into a care home for all that capital. So you try to get granny or granddad removed from the Court of Protection, you could get a £20,000-30,000 legal cost against you. So the money disappears, and lawyers and others, they make a fortune. I mean, I attended a Court of Protection hearing in Slough. It lasted less than 10 minutes, and I got a £10,000 cost order off me. But the press, Christopher Booker, people like that, they're not allowed to report on Court of Protection cases because they're so secret. But this event with Avon and Somerset Police has absolutely opened it all up. But more importantly, thanks to the Director of Investigations at the Information Commissioner's Office, Stephen Eckersley, who's now left. He was an ex-Chief Inspector with Greater Manchester Police. I got disclosure of my medical records. It gave an amazing insight to what was going
on. I'm sure it did, and that's a discussion for another day. Len, thank you for your time today. Thank you for giving us a brief outline of what's been going on in the Freemasonry, but also in the judiciary and other places as well. I think we've got several more conversations to have over the next few months, and we're going to unpick a lot of this. Thank you so much for coming on today, Len.
Right, fine. Same to you, and good luck to your viewers. But one thing, whenever you are provoked, I spoke to you early, break off and step back and don't get pulled into confrontation with the police on mental illnesses.
That's some good advice, because you can't win. You can't beat, and it just all goes against you then.
Your time will come, just don't get pulled into conflict.
Good advice. I'll see you again soon.
Right, fine. Bye then.